All right. So this is some more details on a QEEG. If you missed my other videos, a QEEG is an EEG with a lot of statistics, and it's used for neurofeedback. It's used to tell if someone is a good candidate for neurofeedback, but also guides treatment, guides what areas of the brain are going to be reinforced with certain brain waves or what needs to be inhibited. And if you're unfamiliar with neurofeedback, I've got other videos. The down low is basically we observe brain waves and we train it in a certain direction to alleviate symptoms. So a QEEG, what this process looks like. So first and foremost, an assessment or questionnaire. With the results of a QEEG, we need to compare it with symptoms. So we don't just go off of like, oh, this is what's happening in the brain, let's train it towards the norm. No, we want to make sure that it matches with the symptoms. So if you're doing a QEEG for neurofeedback, part of what's going to be expected is a questionnaire. So this can be something that's emailed to you. This can be in office. This can be a formal assessment, a full hour with a lot of information gathering. That's part of it. So part of it's a questionnaire, part of it's symptom gathering. Then coming in, let's say you have an appointment Thursday at 10, you avoid stimulants for the day before, you avoid depressants the night of, you avoid cannabis for like 3 or 4 days, 3 to 5. You go in, you want to make sure you're not sweating. They get a good reading, and they may take some time to make sure that it is a good reading, because if you have got a little bit of tension, it's gonna cause some issues. So you sit down, they put a cap on, they put gel in, and they establish a good connection so that they can get a good recording of what's happening with your brainwaves. So you sit there, you wait there, and you sit there and you're still, and you have your eyes open 5 minutes, say they're done. Then you do one with your eyes closed for 5 minutes, say they're done. They take that, they send it into a database, and for you, at that point, they say, thank you for coming. You've got a bunch of gel in your hair, and you're like, wait, I just came in and you just took 5 minutes, eyes open, eyes closed, and that's it. Maybe you took 30 minutes to actually get set up. Yeah, that's basically it. It's then sent into a database. Information is got back maybe 24 hours after that, maybe sooner. Then they look at what the map shows. So 400 pages of data of like what's happening at 1 hertz at each of these locations using the International 1020 system, 2 hertz, 3 hertz, 4 hertz, all the way up to like 40. Also, how the brain is communicating with itself. So they look at absolute power, relative power, power ratio, asymmetry, coherence, phase, alpha peak frequency. Look at all of that and compare it to the statistical norm. And they also look at it from perhaps different perspectives. So there's different montages. There's linked ears is the most common, but they also might do Loretta. They also might do Laplacian, which is essentially a different perspective. That gives quite a bit of information. So they comb over it, the neurofeedback provider. Then you go in, they say, this is what we found. This is what's outside the norm. This is correlated to these symptoms that you have. So if we're going to do neurofeedback, 1, it seems like you're a good candidate. 2, we're going to be training this down to reduce those symptoms, and you should notice a difference within, say, 5 sessions. Not a huge difference, but maybe like 10% towards your goal type of thing, a little bit there. If you're not noticing a difference that, within a few sessions, then might want to adjust and try a different protocol. Because there are different protocols, they're used at different times. There's monopolar, bipolar, I talked about that in another video. But then essentially they sit down and say, this is what's going on. You might get a report, you might not. You might just get pictures, you might get something that's very user-friendly, you might get something that they might just give you 200 pages of like pictures, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. But they should sit down with you and explain what's going on and let you know what the goals are and what to expect if you were to do neurofeedback, and what protocol would be used, and yeah, essentially what to notice from that. And then you would make that determination if you want to go forward with neurofeedback. There's lots of times people have come into my office, we do a QEEG, and I say, I wouldn't do it. Not based off of this. It's in the norm. So you might get someone like that that's like, hey, it's not worth it. It's not that far outside of the norm. Probably not going to notice a difference. There's times you can use standardized protocols, however, so talk with your provider, but that's what to expect. That whole process. And then if you're going in office, you go in once, twice a week until symptoms alleviate. Some people only do 20, and sometimes those people end up coming back later on. But if you do more than that, say if someone does 50, oftentimes they don't need to come back. That learning's there. So that's what to expect with a QEEG, what the process of getting one looks like, and determining if you are a good candidate for neurofeedback. Thank you for your time.